Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Meanwhile, you can
Oh,
share your screen. Yes. Yeah. Good evening to another person here. So we are delighted to welcome our 3 days international workshop under the title of research writing, publication, and representation. So already we completed the last 2 days session. I hope the sessions might be helpful for you. Already we shared the meeting recording and what are the things we have discussed during the session. So everything it will be reached by the WhatsApp group. So everything it will be reached along with your certificate also. You can utilize when you want that kind. Today's sessions, I'm really happy to introduce Dr. Safrine. Already she taken first day session. So welcome, ma'am. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you, sir, for inviting me. And can I start the session now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
One more information, ma'am. I want to give that. So, dear
Okay.
participant, do you have any queries? So you may unmute yourself and discuss with the resource person. Otherwise, you can wait. You don't interrupt that session flow. So it can be you can be wait up to the one session is completed. We can open for the question and answer session. So your certificate it will be reached within 48 hours once the workshop is completed. So you don't have to disturb of the questions as per our schedule. So it will be reached you as soon as possible. So meanwhile, 25 after 45 minutes, we share the feedback link through the chat box on the WhatsApp group. So that link will be live in tomorrow at 12 p.m. So you can submit your both feedback. Then only we can process your certificate as soon as possible. So thank you so much for giving this wonderful opportunity. The session hand over to Dr. Safrine. Now, please carry on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Satish sir, for again giving me this opportunity. Good evening to all. Thanks for joining me again. As you all know, today is the last session for this workshop, and I'm sure be aware of the topics that we're going to discuss. So it's about emotional well-being, self-care. It's about effective conference and Viva Oshe presentation, building your academic career through networking and positive academic collaboration. So basically, if you see, it's just focusing a lot on the soft skill part, right? I think the way we write, when we talk about research itself, what comes to our mind is the writing part, the research part, and the things that we discussed the first day, right? Literature review, research methodology, writing your research paper, getting it published, and all those things. It really forms the crux of your research. But very little importance is given to the soft skill part of it, the skills and also the coping mechanism a researcher has to develop throughout the research journey. And unfortunately, not many workshops or FDPs really talk about the emotional well-being, what kind of emotional stability a researcher has to maintain, especially in an arduous journey as as a PhD scholar. We really feel that it's only the productivity is measured only based on the papers we publish, based on the conferences we attend, and how far we are able to enhance our profile, which is all the more true, right? Because there is a competition and everyone wants to land up in a good job or find better opportunities after that. But down the lane, what we're really missing is what kind of a person we are actually becoming, because that's more important. Somewhere research is only catering to the intellectual part of our, being, and slowly the emotional being is neglected, which should not be happening. Because from my own experience also, after spending 5 years in PhD, and then also listening to many students who come to me for counseling, I think what I really feel that there should be more importance given to the focus on emotional intelligence and how far emotional well-being of researcher is really taken into account in the journey of research. When I say research is an intellectual journey, I've already told you it's not a bed of roses, it's difficult and all. We know there's a lot of stress and anxiety. I think everyone faces it. It's not that I can't really say that one person will be saying there's no stress or there's no anxiety in my life at all. Because every day brings a certain level of uncertainty, and things don't turn the way we expect. And also, if you remember, we are really into a lot of things with not only with ourselves, but also we're connected with other people, right? So especially when it comes to scholars, PhD scholars, again, it depends mostly on the moods of their supervisors. I've experienced that personally. And also, we are waiting for certain things to happen, especially publication, which can really put a huge stress on us, because we have to attend doctoral committee meetings where progress has to be shown and publication has to happen within that period of time. Papers have to be selected, peer review process has to go successfully. I can give n number of reasons for a scholar or researcher to get that stress and anxiety. But apart from all those reasons, how are we going to handle stress and anxiety and take care of our emotional slash mental stability matters a lot. Of course, for any problem, there is solution, there is a coping mechanism. We need to accept that there's nothing called a stress-free or anxiety-free life, especially for researchers, it's all the more tough. So what we can actually do is to build a coping mechanism, and for that, resilience is very important. So resilience is nothing but how far you're able to bounce back, right? Happens, things don't turn the way, or something happens that you really feel that you are out of your track, or uncertain things. See, remember, we are also balancing our personal lives. It's not that we are just researchers alone. We have families and we have things to deal, we have difficult people in our lives to deal, so many other things other than research, right? And we have relationships that we have to handle. So you see, there's a lot of balance one needs to develop when it comes to the research life. Apart from focusing on your research journey, it's also your personal life. And also for people who are working part-time scholars, it's all the more difficult managing a job, managing your family, and then a research which might be very, very demanding. So all this will add on to the stress, and if not dealt properly at the right time, and you don't give it that kind of an attention, you keep accumulating things in your mind, it's really going to cause a serious health issue. And remember, emotional problems, people might think it might not have any connection with their physical health, but very much emotional problems do have an intrinsic connection with the uh, health of the body, the physical health, I would say. So someone who's constantly worried, stressed, and they're not dealing with it properly, they'll obviously feel that fatigue, the tiredness, exhaustion, and at times they just want to give up. And we might be knowing about incidents where scholars, even researchers, or even end up committing suicide. We just get those news, right? When we read it, we really don't understand. It's especially young people. They just resort to that kind of method where they feel they can't go any way ahead of this. That's why we have a lot of mental health professionals who are supporting, who are ready to give, and a lot of platforms that are operating around the research community, where they're ready to give that kind of a help so that people can reach out, talk to people. Sometimes it's just you don't have a person to share your problems with. It's always people don't understand, or there's no space, safe space to go and vent out your feelings or emotions. But luckily, these days, mental health is also available, and there are even free platforms which can actually help you, NGOs which operate based on this to help people to cope up with this kind of a problem. But the thing is, you need to know, you need to be humble enough to take that help, know where to reach for that help, and also find people who can really guide you through this. It need not be a supervisor alone, or it need not be an expert or a faculty alone. It can be any person in your circle. It may be just your friend or someone in the family or relative, someone who can actually help you navigate this, right? And above all, it starts from you. If you develop certain mechanisms, it's going to be really helpful. So I've just thought of putting some pictures here to show what kind of impact a constant or a chronic stressful situation can actually be on a person. So you see, the brain is actually carrying the stress, right? Sometimes we don't connect the stress or anxiety with the brain at all. We remove the intellectual part and emotional part. We consider both as extreme, which is not actually true. Anything which is affecting your mind or body, it's going to have an impact on the productivity level. It's going to have an impact on how far you're performing in your research. So someone who's constantly exhausted, someone who's constantly going through this kind of a stress, not dealing with it properly, will definitely not be able to perform well. Of course, there's a level of stress that would encourage you to do well. For example, meeting deadlines, or presenting, or going into new projects, or attending presenting a paper in a conference. All this will have a certain level of stress, but that's fine. That some way pushes you to do well in that particular scenario. But then taking it for a long period of time, for example, if you don't sort out things clearly with your supervisor, and that's causing a problem in the relationship, the professional relationship you have with them, all these things have to be discussed, and you need to ensure that you take those unnecessary emotional burdens out of your head. Otherwise, carrying a lot of baggage, it's not going to help at all. You might think that this is different, the emotional part is different, the intellectual part is different. It's no way. Anything that's affecting your mind, affecting your emotional area, it's definitely going to affect your intellectual area as well. So what is stress? It's a very common term. We know everyone are saying this. Even a school kid who's like, first and second standard, they also come up saying that they are all stressed. It's like that. It's so common, and everyone experiences in a different way. So we can't really compare the stress level of what we experience with another person at all, right? And it is definitely based on the factors, external factors mostly, more than the internal factors. It's also based on the external factors, the people you meet, the people you live with, the people you deal. Apart from that, the work environment, huge number of external factors. So stress can be defined as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. Everyone faces difficult situation, and of course, when we are put in that kind of situation, we feel that tightness, right, in our mind and our body, and that's stress, right? You feel that you're able to, sense that kind of a burden. And of course, it's very natural. It's a natural human response, and it prompts us to address the challenges and threats in our life. So no one can say they're living a life which is free of challenge, right? Challenges are there. The whole idea is to how you meet that challenge, what lesson you learn. And definitely no one can say that, they haven't experienced failure at all. There are moments we struggle to meet a challenge. There are moments we feel overwhelmed. Sometimes the challenge overtakes us. And I think, and I feel that's completely fine. It's not that every time you're prepared, you're equipped to handle a challenge. Sometimes you learn from the mistake, you learn from the experience, you learn next time so that you don't repeat it next time. And that might make you feel that you are behind. The comparison happens. It happens even with scholars, PhD scholars. They compare themselves with their fellow scholars. Sometimes the publication deadline, or they're not able to, they don't feel as productive as their fellow researchers. All this happens. And I'm very active in LinkedIn, and also, sometimes people who are active will know, like, you see people constantly updating about their career progress and all. It makes us feel that somewhere, if you're not able to do the same, you feel that for a long time you have done anything productively, you might feel a little low. All this happens. It's quite natural. And the whole idea is to see what kind of strategy you can develop to meet the challenge successfully. And to fail in this process is quite natural and acceptable. It's like, you can't be failure free. You can't escape from failure. As a researcher, failures do happen, mistakes do happen, but the learning also has to happen. A lot of learning and unlearning. That's what I want to say. And anxiety, mostly the term is like used synonymously with stress. Again, tension, worried thoughts. And sometimes, as I was explaining, this kind of anxiety can also lead to physical changes like increased blood pressure. Quite number of diseases are attributed to increased anxiety and stress levels. So that will definitely help you to understand the connection between physical health and mental health. So anxiety is a feeling of unease, like worry or fear. It can be from mild to severe, and everyone goes through that. Let me give you simple examples. If you're going to go and present your paper in a conference, especially if it's going to be offline, yes, there is going to be a level of anxiety, right? You will have like 100 people there right in front of you. Of course, even for me, I have, I'm a public speaker. Although I started off with as a person who's like really scared of the stage, and I did have stage fear, stage fright. But then again, it took a lot of practice to overcome that, and also working on my language skills and working a lot of practices, of course. But then I would say every time I really go into an event or address people, there's little level of anxiousness as to how far people are going to understand me, how I'll be able to reach out, especially with students. And being teachers or faculty members, we know that for every class it's a stage for us. We need to address them, right? And we won't know what kind of mindset they'll be in, whether sometimes it's going to be the best session we ever had, sometimes it's not going to be so best because the class doesn't really cooperate. There's a whole level of thing that happens in a teaching environment. But generally, I'm saying that anxiety is always there, right? However, you're prepared. But then how you're going to handle that matters. So everyone has these feelings of anxiety at some point in their life, and you may feel worried or anxious, like even for sitting for an exam, it happens, or having a medical test, job interview, different scenarios, different levels of anxiety. And then here is a picture, just to show the kind of mental burden, right? We might say that we are strong. The strength can be measured by the way how much we are able to carry physically. But then what about the mental weight that we really carry, the mental burden that we really carry? Sometimes the accumulation of constant stress or anxiety, we might really not know, right? It's going to just increase the baggage in our head. And sometimes it will not even allow you to go ahead. It will just you'd make it so difficult that you'll have to stop at one point of time. And unfortunately, some people end up, especially youngsters, I would say, just ending up their life because they feel everything is shut. Because these problems are not actually treated properly, even at the beginning stage or at the right stage. So the accumulation keeps happening. And one point of time, the burden becomes too heavy. So they're not able to proceed. So the coping mechanism is what I was talking about. So how to really cope up with these issues. Then this is the key term that I would want to use here. Resilience, right? So what is resilience? I've already told you. The whole idea of resilience is to let you know that no matter whatever problems slash challenges or uncertainties, whatever comes by your way, remember that you go through that situation, you face it, you learn from that. And also, once the learning happens, you start equipping yourself better for the next scenario that's going to come. And the more better you're equipped, the wiser you become in handling that particular challenge. One thing that you don't do is you never give up. That's the only thing. Never give up on life, never give up on the project that you've taken, never give up on the journey that you've embarked on. I've also sharing my own experiences that I've had with discussion that I have with many students, and also people who come to me. I've done my counseling course, counseling in psychology and psychotherapy. So I did this out of interest because I feel psychology is very important. Although I'm a literature scholar, I think it has helped me a lot. After doing that course, I did my postgraduate diploma. I started handling life better, I would say. And also somewhere I started giving counseling also for students. And, from my own experiences, what I come to understand after a lot of discussion is that the resilience is something that is actually missing, and that's why the quick way of just giving up on things, right? Maybe the ambition or giving up on a relationship or giving up on an academic pursuit happens because somewhere the person comes to a point that I can't go ahead and I won't be the same person. Probably I've seen students who have quit PhD in between middle of their like second or third year. They just want to give up, and they just say this there's issues with the problems with the supervisor, some issues related to their topic, or so many reasons. But on the other hand, I've also seen people who have faced n number of challenges, but still they've successfully completed that program and they've come out with a doctorate degree. Inspiring stories. And that is something, if I listen to their stories, I know that I whether I would have really faced that kind of challenge, whether I would have actually stood firm and it's something for me to actually answer. So it's there are two extreme situations. So what happens here is resilience is the need of the hour. That's what is actually missing, I feel, especially when it comes to young researchers, early career scholars. They feel that, they're not prepared because probably till an MA or a PG or MPhil, they feel that, life is a little bit easy. But when it comes to PhD, the number of years itself is a stressful factor, right? It's not going to be done within a year or two. It's going to take more number of years. Publishing itself, waiting for published papers in a Scopus Index journal. All these things are like we see in LinkedIn, we constantly see these kind of problems being discussed. A lot of issues happening within academia, right? So the one thing that we need is learning, unlearning, learning to embrace the challenges and also the changes that comes with it. And trying to bounce back is what is the need of the hour. If you fail to bounce back, if you just say that this is all the end, the belief that you have is actually starts manifesting and happening. But when you believe you can actually come back, you can give another try, you can improve, you can submit another paper, try in another publication. This is all taking chances, another chance. Resilience is nothing but taking another chance on yourself, being kind to yourself, giving yourself another chance. That's what resilience is, right? And here I put an image of a person carrying a glass of water. This might sound very just seeing this you might feel, yeah, he's just carrying a glass of water. Probably if he carries it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it's not really going to hurt his hand. But imagine if it's going to be for like a day or so, 10 plus hours or 15 plus hours, the ache actually starts, right? The pain becomes severe. It starts intensifying. This is how it is. So whatever stress that we are actually going through, the anxiety might be looking, small, or, it might be significant. Sometimes you brush it off. But then constantly when you keep carrying it without addressing it properly, without giving it the attention, that's when the pain starts intensifying, and unfortunately by the time you realize that, it might have been too late, right? So another picture, where you see this girl walking into a harsh climate without preparing herself, like probably not taking an umbrella, or just doing something to prepare for this kind of a climate. A PhD journey, a research journey is going to be hard. It's never going to be easy. It's going to test your patience. It's going to take time, and it also means that you're going to handle difficult people. Okay, sometimes there are people are blessed with excellent supervisors, well and good, but if not, or otherwise you have your doctoral committee members, one person or the other, you can say that they are like kind of they give you that tough time, I would say. So you need to be equipped to handle that. There's a difficult journey ahead. You've taken the road no one has taken, because choosing to even do a PhD, it's a very bold decision, right? Because you need to wait for that many number of years to get, not only to get the title, but also the recognition, all the things that we were discussing in the first day, right? So if you have taken the decision and you know that not everyone does that and it's something unique, then you need to prepare yourself for it. You should know that there's hardship waiting ahead. This shouldn't demotivate you. On the other hand, should encourage you. You keep visualizing the completion. One little motivational thing that I can share from my own experiences. Even when I started, I had people who demotivated me. I had faculty members who told me that whether I'll be even able to complete my PhD properly. They felt that I'm someone who is not who might not be able to handle this course properly. When they express their own disbelief, there are moments, honestly, I would say I cried. And I thought, those words were really hurting. But then I started visualizing a lot that one day I'll be able to complete successfully. There's a lot of hard work that went inside. Those words, those demotivating words indirectly motivated me. I wanted to prove myself. So I worked hard, and not always people helped me. Help was rejected, but then I found out where to go and reach out for help. And a lot of self improving sessions and lot of work on my own self, improving my language and improving my confidence, all those things happened. And I kept visualizing. The only day I visualized was even before, even as I started my PhD, was my Viva worship. Imagining that I'm going to deliver an impactful presentation, my Viva worship, then people will know that, one day when they demotivated me with their unkind words, with their discouraging words, will definitely come to know this kind of hard work that I've done. I'll be able to prove myself in that platform. So this kind of visualization really helps. So even when you're working on a paper, think about how it's going to be when you're published. Think about the book that you're really working on. What will it be like when the book comes? And the joy of authoring a book and authoring a paper, only when you visualize certain things, you will feel more motivated to go ahead towards it. So as I was telling you, in the beginning, I was showing a picture where the brain is carrying the stress. Stress has a lot of connection. Constant stress and anxiety, carrying it for a long time, will impact your memory, will impact your brain health also. So that is, very much into this neuro related issues. So if you see, there are many studies which say that, it's not just which is going to impact your physical health alone, but there's a lot of impact on your brain health also, carrying constant stress. So the resilience part is there, and a whole lot of information we have on social media as to how to handle stress, people giving a lot of speech, motivation and all. But from my side, what I've just put in few things here, which might be very common, which you can adapt, use in day-to-day life. That's what I would want to say, because I'm not here to say a suggestion which might sound very what to say, very sophisticated, that you can't really follow. But it's something that I would recommend that you can weave into your everyday routine. So here, how to manage stress, few 4A models that you can actually start implementing in your everyday life. Say how far you can actually go ahead with this. So avoiding the first one, saying no to unnecessary stressors and delegate tasks. So people who are working and then managing research, I can really understand how difficult it is. I know friends who are having a tough time doing both, because even the job is demanding, and also, taking time to go and meet their researchers, fellow scholars, their supervisors, and connecting with other researchers. It's like a huge task. But remember what stressors are there constantly. There might be some situations which might stress you again and again. So see how you can avoid that, and go ahead with, especially in your work environment. So prioritize your work, and for that, good time management skills is necessary. So along the way, when you're uh, handling stress and anxiety, you will also have to develop skills. So for a simple example, if you are very if you have this public speaking fear and with stage fright, you just analyze why it is. Why do you lack confidence? Because of your language? Is it because you're scared that your language might go wrong? Then you need to work on your language skills, right? That will automatically boost your confidence, and you start speaking well. And you can start presenting in more number of conferences, which will ultimately help you in your viva voce also. So that's just a simple example. So handling stress and anxiety, along the way of handling it, you're also understanding how to develop new skills. That's also a way of, kind of making yourself stronger and equipping yourself in a better way. And adapting. The next A is adapt, adjusting expectations and focus on what you can control. Remember, you always can't control everything, not just in life alone, but even in your research, right? For example, mood swings of your supervisors, you can't really control that. So just taking your thoughts on that, and trying to lose your mental peace over that is unnecessary, right? So learn what you can actually start controlling. So reframe problems positively and practice gratitude. I'll be talking more about that in the subsequent slides when I focus on emotional intelligence. So yes, emotional intelligence is very important as we keep moving closer to building a successful uh, life for a researcher, I would say. It's not just academic research or academic scholarly life, but also focusing on the kind of person that we are becoming. Change your approach by communicating the needs clearly. That's altering, right? Breaking tasks into manageable steps in solving problems. Always looking into the problem, analyzing it, and seeing how far, to reduce your energy in pouring inside the problem and see what kind of potential solution you can bring in. And accept what you cannot change and forgive. Okay. I would say there are times when we also meet people who give us the difficult time in our research journey. Sometimes I've known the people who have, had the greatest qualification, but they just behave like a child, right? They have the smallest mind, I would say. Sometimes I feel they behave in the in a very, very, I would say, kiddish way. I would be like, how can they even have this such a great qualification? Maybe they're also in a very big position, but then within the academia, but they might behave, that's because of generation gap. If they are really, into that, if we are young scholars can actually connect. I've had experiences. So they will have their own mindset, and that might be a clash with the way they believe certain things. So it's okay. It's like you can't really control all that. The only thing you can do is accept that this is how this person is going to be, and develop certain strategies to handle that person, and just keep moving ahead. Forgive, and practice gratitude for whatever life is given to you at that point, right? Find meaning in challenges and focus on growth. So that's very important. As I told you, don't be scared of the challenges. Just go inside into it, just face it, see what experience you can get out of it, and focus on growth. Remember, every challenge is going to make you grow. That's one thing that you have to remember. So practice to reduce stress. Yes, breathing technique, I will be going through all this in the slides that are about to come. So just a few information, the stress we feel most often. Yes, generally, if you see people are stressed about their financial situation, worrying about future. So this is how finance comes very much first. And I think even in the research journey, this happens, right? Because yes, there are people who get their stipends, but then there are scholars who work in non-stipendary institutions and programs. So it's not easy. Even with the stipend amount, I would say, like, sometimes they are in a position to depend on their family members financially. Definitely finance also brings in a kind of stress, right? Sometimes we don't get that, we need to pay a huge amount of money for publication, for expert help, and all things like that. So that's definitely there. And worry about the future. Even after completing, will I still get a job which would pay me well? I know scholars who are really worried, even especially when they are at the fag end of their PhD completion. They are worried whether they can actually start earning and find a good position there. They would actually, their research would be known. At the same time, they can also take care of their family themselves, properly. All these worries start coming up. All this also creates stress. Again, managing personal relationships along with all this, professional responsibilities, that's another stress. So like this, we have many examples, right? So as I was telling you in the beginning, the stress we should all feel most often, or the good stress or the eustress. The good stress is called eustress and the bad stress is called distress, actually. So stress about working on projects you're excited about, that's good, right? So if you have a new project coming by your way, you're really excited, and you're also a bit stressed because there's a lot of change in your timeline, and you want to submit certain things, and you want to work on your reports. That's something good. It's productive. It pushes you to be productive. Stress about engaging in physical exercise. Yeah, you're doing something to move your body, right? So if you are enrolling in a exercise is also very important. That's one way of relieving stress. So again, stress about traveling to new places and studying something that you're passionate about, working on a new paper. I'm just translating it all into research language, but this is also quite common. It's something which is applicable to all, right? Stress about positive changes in life. So all this is something good, some good stress that you actually experience. But then what you have to be careful is to the negative stress that would actually stop you from being productive, stop you from being, going ahead in life. It just puts an end to wherever you are. And that's where you need to be careful, because you need to move ahead in life. No matter moving ahead, I won't say it's just progress, or I won't say it's just perfection. It's just making yourself aware that whatever course you've started, or whatever project you've started, or the paper even you've started, you can always come back to it and finish it. No amount of stress or no amount of anxiety should stop you from doing what you really wanted to do. And of course, challenges are there, as I told you. It's all learning and unlearning and bouncing back again with the spirit of resilience. So the little changes that we make in our lifestyle that I'll be discussing about, and I've already shared a few points, right, with that 4 A's, right? So these little changes are what is going to bring you a great impact. Sometimes we find we really want a greater change in our life. We want our lifestyle to completely change, and we want to be suddenly productive, progress, and things like that. But it doesn't happen overnight. Whatever I'm discussing today, it's not going to just happen in a day's time. Consistent, implementation of certain habits, working on your self growth, working on self love, self care, it all starts with self, right? So all this will be shown only like a constant habit is being followed for about 6 months or so, and slowly it becomes a part of your daily rhythm of life. And then the change happens so much so people around you will start even noticing and even sharing. Your own family will start sharing the change that they see in you. So the little change is what that causes greater impact. And don't forget about self love and self care, which is also one of the topics that we are selected for today's discussion. So when I'm talking about emotional intelligence, emotional well-being, I'm also referring to the self. It's not just the physical self, but also the mental self, right? So for research scholars, it's always the intellectual self. We see that knowledge, right? We somehow forget the physical self or the mental self. So I'm a person who wants to focus on all the three. Personally in life, I have this goal that I should focus on, the spiritual. I'm also into spirituality. So I focus on my personal self, my professional self, and my spiritual self. So if I say personal, within the personal, if you see there's the physical self, there is the emotional self, right? And the intellectual self. So the physical self, the intellectual self is nothing but the research, all the things that we are really doing, right? For this workshop, the first day and the second day, we have discussed our productivity in terms of academia, right? In academic productivity, publishing papers, giving speeches, and enhancing our profile, getting a better job, securing good projects, grants, and all this is intellectual. The recognition that you really want to be recognized as that expert in a particular field. But unfortunately, in the journey, researchers forget that they also have this physical self and the emotional self. So I find them completely investing in research and avoiding anything that is done for healthy body and mind. So avoiding exercises, or not failing to move their body. Obviously they're in front of the laptop just typing, and that's not the lifestyle one has to follow. You need to do regular exercises that helps to build your body, and also about your mental health, right? Giving some time to spend for yourself, indulging in recreational activities, in leisure activities, building your hobbies other than research. I mean sports or arts, performing arts, whatever it is. And sometimes, unfortunately, they don't give any time for their family also. It's like just locking yourself in a room, and it's always with the research work and things like that, which is an unhealthy way of dealing with your own self, not being kind to your own self. So as I'm explaining these things, so I just gently urge you all to just think, where kind of assess what attention you're giving, what kind of attention you're giving to yourself, whether you're focusing on your physical self and your emotional self as much as you focus on your intellectual self. So this picture can say it all. So yes, there is this, in your mobile or any gadget, you won't allow your phone to let go of the battery, right? It's not good. There is, you have that alert, right? Alertness. But what about your body? So you need to focus on your body and mind as well, right? So self-care is not a luxury, it's a priority. And under self-care, I'm not just talking about the physical care, but also the mental care, both, right? And a little bit of, you might be knowing this, it's general knowledge, but then hormones, right? So our mental stability, our mental well-being is connected to the way the hormones function in our body. So these four hormones, yeah, dopamine, the reward chemical. So how to actually start stimulating these hormones in our body, which would really help us to have a good start and mood for the day. So starting your day happily, sometimes it has happened to me. I think many of us can connect. We want to start the day happily, but unfortunately, people will make it sad, right? Something that turns out bad. But then just bouncing back, taking some time to process that. You can't say that whatever happens in my life, I will be very happy. No one can make me sad. No, that's a lie, right? Happens. Sometimes words hurt. The way people behave hurts. Sometimes people who behave as though that they know everything, they don't give you that space, you feel very hurt, and you also feel unheard. And sometimes you deal with people who lack gratitude. So all these things happen, so you can't say that you can't be that strong. I think no one, we are also human, we are also emotional being. But then giving some time to process that and coming back to it at that point of time and saying, fine, this is what I learned, this is how the situation is, that's fine. And then getting back to your own self is very important. Your happy self, and finding happiness with who you are, what you have become, how much you have changed, or the gratitude, carrying the gratitude of what life has put you in, right? So yeah, the dopamine hormone, listening to music, trying something new, creative, indulging in creative works, maybe writing or doing something with your hand. All this is really something that would help you to boost dopamine hormone. Tick something off your list. So this I do a lot. So I always do this, like for a week, I just write what are the things that I should actually accomplish. I don't take it too long, for a year and all. Sometimes for me, managing a toddler and then my career and then many other things happening right now. So just for a week, if I'm able to tick my box, or complete 4 or 5 tasks, I would be the happiest person on earth. But that's fine. Celebrating small wins of you. If I have to say, this week I wanted to complete this session successfully, which I believe I'll do. There's another session tomorrow, and there are a few more things, and I'm working on a book. So I have few more lists, to be done. And also personally, I have few things to be done. So if I'm able to accomplish that for this week and I put a tick mark, I'm so happy, because for moment of time, doing all these things matters a lot. At the same time, being able to do all itself is, I find it something great for me, because I know there are people who struggle to balance. I know there are people who are completely given up on their career to just be with their child. And sometimes it's, mothers would be able to connect with what I'm saying. So for me, doing both or balancing both is something that brings me kind of happiness. So like this, you will have your own scenario, right? So check on that, prepare small list that you can actually tick it off and feel happy about, right? It can be even a small task, like, the habit of reading a new book. So I've started reading. That's a good start, right? And when you're able to complete it within like a month or 3 months or whatever timeline you put, that's great, right? It might not be like an achievement, like I could say I published a research paper and all, but still matters. So oxytocin, the love hormone, spending time with your loved ones, your family members, showing affection, doing something nice for someone, because we are not isolated beings, we are social animals, we are connected. So we need to spend time with people. It's not that we should be in isolation as researchers. So think about that as well. Serotonin, yeah, doing exercise, basking in the sun, practicing meditation, eating healthy meal, basically doing exercise. So I'm a person who loves to do that, trying out different equipments in the gym. It really brings me, like staying fit. And you are health conscious, you are also mindful of who you are, and you want to take care, you want to be presentable also. So all these things comes under, when you feel good that you are worked out, and you are conscious about who you are focused on your health, and all these things gives you a positive feeling. Endorphins, taking a hot bath, creating music or art, yoga, laughter. So basically, you see, these hormones tell us that we are human beyond that intellectual self or that researcher or everything. Beneath everything, we are just humans, and we need that connection. We need happy time for ourselves. We need that self-care now, just to prove that we are just humans first, and then only we are researchers or academicians or things like that. So working on the basics is very important. So the power of no, yeah, the 7 types of rest that I put here, and I think I can go here for this. So practice type. So when I say rest, rest is something, like these days, if you say rest, people think it's like stopping everything and not focusing on, no productivity time. That's what people feel. So if we are in a rat race, obviously, because a lot of comparison happens. So any social media, open any platform, people are posting constantly. You see updates, you see progress, you see perfection everywhere. And if you don't do anything, you feel like you are way behind, and there's no one to actually embrace rest, right? There's no one would say take rest, stop or pause. And unfortunately for a researcher, they can't hear these kind of terms, right? It's very difficult because we're always asked to go ahead, always asked to just chase something, publish something, get it done. Yeah, it's there, I understand, it's all needed and has to happen. But also you need to just pause at certain moments to engage with yourself, engage with your the surroundings, your physical surroundings, and also to see how far you can connect with people in your life and give your own time. That's when the self love, self care happens, right? So physical rest, having enough good number of sleep, that's very important. And also we are into, the digital detox also has to happen, right? Because we are too much into maybe working with our laptops or always calling and checking for updates. It happens, and honestly it has happened with me. I found it really difficult to come out with this because I constantly keep checking my phone and and various other platforms, especially when there are academic updates. At one point of time, I had to work on it so that I'll be able to reduce this habit, because somewhere I feel if I don't do that, this fear of missing out, right? The FOMO, right? So we shouldn't have that fear. We should have a clear timeline as to what we want to accomplish in a year or so in our PhD journey, in our research journey. And of course, you need to set apart certain time to check the progress that we have made. Also, set apart some time to check updates. And you remember, we are constantly flooded with updates, right? Even if you open LinkedIn or any other academic forums, updates are constantly coming. So just give it some time. Don't constantly engage with that so that you don't lose out on your goal, the timeline that you have. So taking physical rest, that is giving your body the required number of sleep hours. And also mental rest, again, yeah, this is might sound very childish, but then yes, closing your eyes and envisioning yourself in a calm environment. And I think as a scholar, I did this. I've explained, shared it already. I used to visualize my Viva Voce day, visualizing that, making my parents proud, making my family proud, everything happening in a successful way, and people appreciating me. And all this is something that I used to visualize. So anything according to the scenario that you are in, so you can always do that. It gives a lot of positive energy. Sensory rest, digital detox. So digital era, definitely you need to have that no phone time and no screen time. And that's really good for health, mental health and physical health. Social rest, meeting new people, connecting with people. That's very important. Group activities, creative courses, networking, just not with the research alone, but outside your research area. Spiritual rest, yes, maybe if you have certain religious beliefs, going ahead with yoga, meditation, something to, to find that inner calm and peace. Emotional rest, yes, enabling you to express or your own feelings, sometimes talking to your own self, and thinking, just have a time where you don't have people or have any other gadgets, but just to collect your thoughts and see so far how far you've traveled, so far what has been in your life and what have you achieved and what is remaining ahead. So all these things, engaging with yourself silently, right? You need that kind of a space and time. So creative rest, doodling, doing any kind of artwork. So for me, I'll be sharing my own examples as I keep going ahead. I do a lot of practicing with different lettering styles. Whenever I get time, I practice and I watch videos related to that. I also update myself related to that. I love writing my friends' name, my loved ones' names in different writing format, and I gift them for their birthdays. And that's something that I've been doing from, I think, from my school days. So that's one habit that I really love. It's one thing. And then I love reading books, not just related to my research, but I do have, as I told you, I love reading autobiographies, memoirs, not just for research purpose, but for motivation, because reading about others' lives, especially successful people's life, it gives me the idea of how far failures can be really overcome. Because I'm talking about how it's important to experience failures and overcome failures, but through those books, through those life stories, I come to know how people have actually done it, right? And they've actually been into very difficult situations, but still their hard work, their belief, and their confidence has brought them to who they, the position that they are in right now. So very motivating stories. So like this, you might have any interest which you have to find out. In case if you haven't had any, you need to have first take some time to understand where your interest really lies apart from your research area. So these are things that you can do to come out of the comfort zone and try doing new things, like undertaking solo adventures, traveling. Again, I think it's a huge thing that you can do to calm yourself. It's a good exercise for the physical self, as well as it brings in a lot of calmness and inner peace for your mental health also. Because usually as researchers, we are stuck into a particular institution, particular room, we are bound in that time and space. But just going out, connecting with nature is very important. Just walking for a long time, just observing birds, nature, everything around you, being sensitive to the environment around you. It really makes you forget that research journey, and for a moment you be present at that point of time and enjoy the little pleasures of life. Random acts of kindness, do something kind every day. Could be simple as buying someone's coffee. Yeah, in your workplace you can follow this, and also at your home, wherever you are, doing something nice for someone also gives you a nice feeling, right? And joining in classes and learning something new, learning a new language, learning a new form of art, all this is something which is going to help you, which will be a motivating factor. Journaling, I do that personally. I make sure some days I don't even have time, but then I ensure that at least weekly, in week 3 or 4 times in a week, I just pick out my diary and I write about the things that I'm grateful for and about what I'm really expecting. And it's like a communication to my own self, and it's really good when I flip the pages and I read it. So probably I do that for more than 3 4 years. So I also have those diaries. I've saved it. So probably 2 years back, if I pick the diary and I read, I know what kind of a person I was at that time. And today, when I look at my diary, I know even in that I've grown a lot. My desires have changed, my goals have changed. So it's a kind of self assessment and self knowledge, right? So, again, if you see, these activities are enabling you to indulge in yourself, to connect to yourself. Of course, many of us have lost the connection with our own self, probably carried too much into what to say, our own commitments, or probably driven into the goals and things ahead of us. So the connection, you need to bring back that connection. So emotional intelligence, simple habits to boost emotional intelligence. EI is very important. And I think the knowledge or the intelligence, the intellectual part, the productivity that we are really seeking in our intellectual arena can be achieved and enhanced significantly if we are able to master emotional intelligence, right? So starting your day by checking with your emotions, how you're knowing that what kind of an emotion you're starting the day with, like whether it's going to be, sometimes we wake up being sad for no reason, some memories of some person, or any past failures, or the losses, it just keeps flashing in our mind, right? So remember what kind of emotions that actually make you start the day. Practicing deep breathing to stay centered, again exercising, engaging with your body, very important. Pause before responding to stressful situation, because the immediate response that we make, yeah, that is what really says who we are, right? But if you're able to pause, give some time to engage with it, then we can come up with better solutions. Using positive self-talk, again visualizing is what I do. You can also talk to your own self to strengthen your own confidence. Performing random act of kindness, I've told you already, we have discussed that. Reflecting on what you can learn from setbacks, learning from failures, learning from past experiences. Share your thoughts and feelings openly and honestly. Have someone in your circle to whom you can really connect, and someone who won't judge you and who will be there for you, to give you that kind of space to listen. Set healthy boundaries to protect your well-being, professional as well as in personal space. Get the boundaries done properly. That's a very important part of emotional intelligence. Otherwise, people might use us, abuse us, and we might be taken for granted. Stay present in the moment throughout the day. So mindfulness, practicing mindfulness. Sometimes it's easy for us to be carried away with all the things that we are, working towards, but ensure you are present at the moment without worrying too much about what's ahead. Offer support and positive feedback to others. Always something you do for others, the help that you do for others. What happens is, I've personally observed in academia, especially in PhD journey, help is not always offered, and I find people are not too kind, right? So the kindness has somehow vanished. I find people are too into self-centered, and they're like, of course, I understand everyone carries this deadline limits, and everyone is managing too many things to even think about their fellow human beings. But remember, we need to focus on who we are with, right? Probably if there is a fellow scholar who's struggling, or someone in the circle, academic circle, who needs your help, who might need a word of motivation from you, who might need your presence, or you might need your kind words, ensure that you offer them that help. Ensure that you offer them those good words, right? It means a lot. And sadly, when we come to research, everyone wants to perform individually. I know it's an individual work. I know, it's your own profile that you're building. But then if you lend a hand for people to build their profile, or, overcome a difficult journey, it means a lot. It might not be an achievement or something that you can write in your profile, in your resume, that you have helped so many people, or you have helped a person to overcome their stage fear, or you have helped a person to publish, given some points, help them to in their publishing journey. This might not actually find a place in your resume. But as a human being, and when you do this, I think it gives you a lot of satisfaction. And there's this happiness that you get when you see people do better because of you, which might not be really connected to your academic productivity, but it does something to your emotional system. It gives you that kind of happiness. It gives you a support and encouragement to go ahead in your, and you feel that fine. It's not, productivity is not just your own your own self coming up with achievements, but also helping another person to achieve. So I think people in teaching fraternity will be able to know this, because we are obviously helping students to achieve. We are constantly, we are not just working on our own self, but we are molding the minds of many youngsters out there. So I think that's the profession, right? It demands that kind of, we are obviously reaching out to our students as well. So remember this as you keep going ahead. So active listening to others without interrupting, ending your day by writing down things you're grateful for, journaling. So these are just simple examples, very simple habits that you can actually implement in your daily life. And in the beginning, it might be tough, but then as you keep moving ahead, this becomes, a way of life. And this brings a lot of change, not just in you, the people around you will also notice, and it might impact the people around you, especially if you are in a position like a professor, or someone who's, watched by many young minds out there. The simple things that you do, being an empathetic person, mastering this emotional intelligence, all this is going to even influence the people who are watching you. Especially if you are teaching field, yes, your students are your audience, right? And also your fellow colleagues, your scholars, everyone will start noticing, right? So take these things into mind and see if there's anything that you are yet to do to work on this. Signs of emotional intelligence, these might be the same things that I have told you, but you might find some different points. So when you become emotionally intelligent, you stay calm under pressure. You don't respond immediately for stressful situation. You practice calmness. You wait. You listen, and people feel relaxed working with you. You will never be a stressor for anyone. So you will always be approachable. People would love to approach you with their own problems, because you handle your problems well. So obviously, people will start liking your presence. You provide feedback effectively. When people need the feedback, you give it to them, and you understand others' perspectives also. You give time and space to listen to others. You're honest and transparent, and you can share your worries and concerns to show that we are also human beings, right? Even though we might, I've seen in academia, there's no room for sharing feelings and thoughts. It's always very professional. No, fine. Sometimes you give that space. Your students come and share their thoughts and feelings with you. They find a safe space in you. It's like you become a counselor for them. You provide a vision that motivates others, because you are clear with your vision, and you handle criticism constructively, right? You don't take things personally. You know how to handle them, And definitely you have the resilience to manage stress and setbacks positively. You're motivated, self-motivated, not waiting for others to motivate you, open-minded and receptive to new ideas. You create and maintain networks and settle and dispute misunderstandings in a proper way. And you articulate your thoughts properly. You are an effective communicator. So you see all the points that really need for a person to develop in a wholesome manner. It lies in emotional intelligence. So as I keep going to the other slides, you can just take some time to even engage with yourself right now to see where you have to work on. What are the areas you're really lacking and what you can actually work on to make it better. So above all, keeping the passion alive is very important. So on the first day itself, I was talking about passion, right? If you all remember, I was telling you when you select the topic, you need to work on one thing is how far you're interested in your topic for your PhD. And that's very important. And you should work on it with a passion, not just because your supervisors have forced it or someone, or you are doing it for the sake of degree. Any work you do, whether it is not just your research or the work that you do even in an institution, just keep the passion alive. And it's not easy because sometimes we are passionate about the work we do, but people are going to create a hell for us. And sometimes we feel that this passion itself will turn into complete disinterest. Happens, right? I've been through that kind of situation. But no matter whatever circumstances are unfolding, however people really turn around, don't give up the interest that you have. You are there to create a change. So that's what you would want to do as a researcher. Any researcher would not just want the recognition alone, but want to bring about a change, right? So you need to be the change, and bringing a change is not easy in a world where people are holding closer to their own views, and in a world which is becoming difficult, I would say. So keeping the passion alive in your research journey, in your life, keeping the passion alive for your goals, for the personal vision that you hold is very important. Here is a little recap of what we have done. So learning new things every day. It's not possible to learn new things every day, but then over a period of time, you want to try out something new. You want to learn a new piece of artwork or even start reading a book. That's also, you're bringing it a new habit. So you would want to just take a book and finish it within a month or 2 months or so. So every book teaches you whole lot of things, right? That others actually can't really, even people would fail to teach you that. So for my own experience, I told you I read a lot of memoirs and, especially of women, and it gives me a lot of, encouragement. Like that, if you want to read any books out of your own interest, not just necessarily stories of people, but whatever genre really, makes you passionate about. So reading books also helps you to develop your reading skills, your vocabulary improves, your writing skill improves. So apart from your research, you can start reading other content, not just the content related to your research. I know some of you might be thinking there's no time to even read research papers or do literature review for my own research. Where will I have the time to do all this? But again, efficient time management skill is something that we have to develop. So to handle the stress, to cope up with the stressful situation or the stressful academic environment that we are in, time management skill is definitely a lifesaver. So the more you practice on that, at least in a week, what time you can give for your own intellectual development, your academic productivity, how much time you give for your physical health, working on your fitness and your mental health, engaging with your emotions and your hobbies, all these things apart from, I know it's too much. Even as I keep saying, I understand how difficult it is to juggle all this, uh, requirements. It's quite demanding. But then a proper timetable, proper time efficient things, and working on things that actually are wasting your time. Probably it might be, for some people it might be the screen time, or just think about the habits that are actually eating up your time. Working on that, that is really something that could end up giving you a productive life. So making tiny changes in routine lifestyle, keep growing in little ways. As I keep telling you, the things that I've discussed so far are not something very difficult to accomplish, right? They're little things that can be woven into your daily lifestyle. But then it helps you to grow in a longer run. Connecting with people, traveling and exploring, spending time with loved ones, random acts of kindness, gratitude, and above all, keeping your inner child alive. Probably you might be want to uh, what to say, probably you would want to just go out and have some time for your own self, connecting with your friends, and going to a restaurant, tasting some different dishes and all. Sometimes it may be very childish. So let me share my own example. I love going to adventure theme parks. And people in my family will be like, even more than the kids, it's you who's enjoying out there in all the rides. That's fine. That's what my inner child is. So at one extreme, if you see, I'm an academician and I do a lot of things in the academic space. People might take me as a serious person. Even my own students have done that. They might think I'm very strict. Then in the beginning, but then probably when people get to know about me, they'll know the childish part in me, in the sense how far I go to treat my inner child. To sometimes I love dancing also. So when the kids programs and all come, I'll be the first one who's dancing on the floor. So even everyone will be like, even again, people will. I have had people sharing this feedback. They say that you're still so like a child. You're like a kid. You keep just jumping here. They might not really connect that with me and the personality I am and the academician that I am. But that's completely fine, because I think my life keeps going ahead with these kind of little things that I do, and I'm not ashamed of it. So if I get a space and time to, enjoy myself like a little child, I'll go ahead and do that. So not that my academic identity would really stop me, even with my students. So if I go them to an excursion or something, I'll be the first one, getting into the rides, and they'll all be surprised, ma'am. We never thought you will be like this. You are enjoying with us. You are like a student with us. I usually take them to conferences and all, so I ensure that I go with them and I cheer them. It's like I also find myself, I relive those days, my college days, so much so. So all this is fine. You will have to have ways to engage with the child in you. So self-care and well-being is what we have been discussing so far. Prioritizing your self-care is very important. Your self, in the sense, remember, it's physical, it's emotional, and it's also intellectual. So all the three domains have to be balanced, and the balance is what matters. So as researchers, we are tend to focus only on the intellectual part. We are driven towards that academic productivity, which is quite natural. I won't say there's anything wrong, or we are hardwired, engineered to do like that. Slowly, the physical self and the emotional self is neglected. That shouldn't happen. For a wholesome success that we need to really experience, remember our system, our body, it's connected, right? It doesn't function alone. So the intellectual self alone can't keep giving a productive output if the emotional self and the physical self is struggling. So remember the connection, the interconnection, and work on it. So mental health matters. So focus on that. Take breaks whenever needed. So when I was doing my PhD, I used to take some uh, time when after finishing every chapter and I'm done with the chapter, I just pause, I take a break. I probably do the celebration, not that I would say openly, but then I feel happy that one chapter is successfully done. I take some probably week or so or 15 days or so. I just don't go near my research and then do whatever I wanted to do, probably watch the movies I couldn't watch or go places, connect with friends. So all these things I do, and I come back again. I take that rest. As I was telling you, rest is also a sign of productivity. Someone who's not able to give himself or herself the rest and constantly running towards achieving and giving the results and output, definitely that's not a healthy way of performing, right? Healthy way of living, performing life or living. So rest is also a sign of productivity. So of course, rest has become costly. We can't afford to do that given the lack of time, the deadlines that we are running against. But then we need to prioritize our rest time. The rest time matters a lot. So that break is needed. So taking rest in that break and then coming with back to your work rejuvenated gives in a lot of positive impact. So making time for hobbies, interests outside academia that I've already discussed. So everyone has an interest, probably in singing or dancing or any other art forms or anything like how I do, probably any craft work. So think about it and see and get involved in that. Imposter syndrome is common but manageable, meaning to say that you're fearing the failure, you think you might fail, all these negative thoughts and all. It happens, right? The fear comes, the challenges will obviously give that fear, but don't worry. As I told you, you need to to develop that resilient attitude, enjoy the process and celebrate your achievement. So remember, your PhD journey, if you are in the journey of a research, it's not going to keep going on and on. Probably if it's a PhD, it will take 4, 5 years, 3 years, how many number of years. So that should be like kind of a memorable journey for you. So as you keep going through the process, understand how much you're learning so that you can give your own tips and suggestions to people, right? So celebrate your little wins. That's also very important. And networking and collaboration. When it comes to academic space, collaboration networking is very important, and I think LinkedIn is a very effective platform for that. Personally, I have had people whom I have reached out through LinkedIn. People have reached out to me through LinkedIn, and I have found experts in my field. I come to know what is happening in my area of research, and sometimes I get to know that certain opportunities are existing only through LinkedIn. And professional collaborations would definitely open new doors of progress for you. So if you haven't explored LinkedIn, please go ahead and do that. Be open to collaborations, reach out to people who have the same interest, seek support from peers and mentors who are ready to help you, who can offer that support. Cultivate diverse academic and research networks, not just within your area of research alone. We know now this research is going towards this interdisciplinary arena. So if you are just with your area of research, it's fine, but then you can have a better perspective when you are focusing on interdisciplinary and other research activities that are parallelly happening amidst against your own research. So just have an idea as to what's happening around your area of research and take some interest in other areas of research also. Sometimes you might not know, it might be indirectly connected to your area also. Seeking opportunities for interdisciplinary collaboration. Remember, now research doesn't function in an isolated way. It's a lot of interdisciplinary connections are happening. So see where you can actually connect, collaborate, and that will help you to find people to publish papers with, right? So you can develop a lot of opportunities like that. So you can explore social media platforms, especially academic and professional platforms where you can get connected with people. And with this, I'm going to start with, since we are it's almost 7:06. So presentation skills for conference and Viva Oshe is one more topic that I would want to finish in today's session. So as a researcher, uh, definitely we think a researcher is only researching, writing, publishing. So it's not just with the writing part alone. Presentation skills are also important. Why? Because basically for two things, for conferences, right? We go ahead with conferences, we have to present, and sometimes for even for securing grants, we have presentations that we have to make. Even for postdoctoral opportunities, we have to make presentation. And of course, if you're a PhD scholar, your biggest presentation in life will be your PhD Viva Voce. So what is a presentation? Simply to define that, it's a process of presenting the content to an audience who might be obviously more than one person. So you're using some visual aid. It's usually the PPT, and you have those slides, and you start presenting your project, your research paper to the particular audience. So presentation skills are very important. If I'm saying presentation skills is not just the slides, the content that you, along with that, speaking skills also, your public speaking skills also, because any presentation you make, it's not just the slides you're showing, right? You're also going to talk, you're also going to explain. Just seeing the slides alone doesn't give that impact, because you are the one who's going to give the voice for the words that are present in the slides, right? So steps in making effective presentation: formulating a strategy, focusing on a structure, focusing on your presentation skills, and handling questions. So what is strategy? Remember the purpose of your communication. So if you are there to communicate about your research, that is the purpose, right? For researchers, even in conferences, even in PhD Viva Oshe, that will be the purpose. So what is the purpose, the core content? Knowing your audience and their expectation. So if it's going to be generalized audience, you need to tailor your speech accordingly. If it's going to be audience from your area of research, then you can freely use certain jargons, because assuming that they will all understand, they already have a fair knowledge of what you're going to discuss. Be concrete, specific, practical, and relevant. Be clear about the objective, right? Whether you're there to motivate, inform, persuade, or teach. Obviously, I don't mean teaching, because again, every teaching session is a presentations session, I would say. We might not be using a PPT, but then it takes a lot of presentation skill, public speaking skill, and also as any session or any lecture that we take, we also handle questions from our students, right? So understand the objective, and definitely you need to research your topic thoroughly, which will obviously happen for a PhD viva. We know that candidates will start preparing rigorously. No one is going to go unprepared. But then having a fair, thorough knowledge of your topic is a huge confidence for you to go ahead and present your research paper. Developing a flexible and flowing structure. So now you know what you have to say, you have the contents, you need to organize your material structurally. That's very important, even in your slides, right? So there should be a proper organization, a good flow, coherence, how your ideas logically flow from one subtopic to the other. So you have a main topic, then you will have the subtopics. Under the subtopics, you will have content. Finally, it starts with a good intro, slowly moves on to the main body, the main research finding, and comes to the conclusion. Very much similar to our research paper. Don't assume that information will speak by itself. So sometimes when we just have the information on the slides, we think that it's enough. People will understand. No, your voice matters. The way you articulate your thoughts, the way you give your, you emphasize on certain words in the slides. It all matters. So audience might interpret information in different ways, right? So remember that. So it's not just the words or the content in the slide, but the way you explain, so that they will have an understanding as to what you're trying to communicate. Think of how you can hold the attention of the audience. For any speaker, public speaker, this is a huge challenge. So from my own experience, I can say this. I've been in both online and offline sessions, and also I love teaching. So teaching itself has put me in different stages. So holding the attention of audience, especially students, I know it's really difficult. And also even in a conference, if you see, there will be people, and like maybe like 50 plus, close to 100. Not everyone would be interested, right? Because there'll be several people presenting their research papers. I've seen, people dosing off or using their phone. But what when I used to start presenting in conferences when I was doing my PhD, I always had this feeling that if I get into the stage, I used to observe the crowd even before I walk into the stage. But then I used to have probably it was a goal or an ambition which I didn't share, which I never shared with anyone. I think I'm sharing it now, first time here in this session. I used to observe the audience. I used to see other fellow scholars and other students who are, they don't really focus on the presentation. But when I used to get on stage, I used to think with my presentation, I should make an impact. Even people who are using their phones or not interested should just lift their heads up and see what I'm trying to say. At least for a moment, if they do that, then I will consider my speech to be an impactful speech. That is a silent goal I used to carry. And also very difficult because these days with technological advancement, people can really just, not just lose their interest soon. If it's going to be on 1 hour speech and all, that's it. It's like, people will start losing their patience. So within the few minutes, people are judging whether the speaker is good, whether they're able to render a proper presentation. And then only they even consider giving their time at all, right? Because our attention span is also reduced. So you need to have certain, develop certain ways to hold the attention of the audience. How can you justify your ideas? Think about that, especially in your PhD defense. Think from the audience point of view. So always when you present, you also see, you hear, right? You read your research paper aloud. So same way you read the contents aloud to see what kind of perspectives your audience will develop and how you can convince the audience, especially in your PhD viva OSHE. It's a defense, and you should make them understand that you have proven a point or this is your key findings. In case if there is an argument, in case if there is something that you want to really establish a point, you should be able to prove it with supportive documents, or you should be able to make them, convince them to understand that yes, this is what I've done and my research has that worth and value, right? So I always used to advise my students to attend a lot of conferences because that's the space where you develop collaboration. Apart from your online LinkedIn spaces and all, when you physically go and attend conferences, you meet people who are the same area of, who are working on the same area of research. You develop a lot of connections. And apart from that, attending conferences will be like a springboard to prepare you for your Viva worship. So, it's like always going and standing in front of audiences from academic universe, I would say. You tend to attend conferences from international conferences from popular institutions. You have huge number of, yeah, of course the sessions will be divided, but you will have people right in front of you, the session chair. They might serve like your examiners or asking questions after you finish your presentation. So it'll be like a mini viva worship in one way or the other, right? It'll be a good chance to prepare yourself for that final presentation. So when you're organizing your ideas, provide an outline or a roadmap. It's always good to start your session with saying that these are the things that you can really focus on. So when you start the session, you just say, these are the points I'll be covering. Probably you can even give an outline, like how you do for your introduction chapters. You say, right, in chapter 1, chapter 2, you orient the readers. So same way, your beginning of your presentation, you can orient the audience to that. And then at the end of your presentation also, you can give a quick recap if possible, if time allows. Organize the body of the presentation logically, plan ways to encourage audience participation. So in conferences, sometimes I have observed different types of presentations. Sometimes I know the scholar will ask questions to the audience, trying to engage them also in case if the audience are not at all involving themselves. I think this strategy we use it even in our lectures, in our teachings lectures, right? So concluding on a high note, sometimes we start on a very active, enthusiastic note, but towards the conclusion, there is some way the energy is lost, or we find that people are not interested. So some way we try to, the ending also doesn't happen in a very excited or in a very energetic level. So you need to maintain the energy from the beginning to the end. So for that, you should be physically and mentally prepared for that. So including visual aids, charts, and graphs wherever necessary, and preparing for contingencies, any emergencies, in case any technical glitches come, you need to work on that and keep, probably your presentations ready on a pen drive or on your mail. So that last moment, these kind of emergency situations shouldn't put your mood off, right? So you should carry ahead the presentation with passion, energy level also. Then only your audience will be involved themselves. They'll also show that kind of a participation energy throughout the presentation. So in your presentation, you should focus both on the intellectual and the emotional part, in the sense, yeah, of course, the intellectual part plays an important role because you're talking about your research, your findings. Also the emotional, in the sense, showing your own passion for the topic. Probably, how far you worked on it, giving them a hint of the challenges that you faced or any particular incident to show that you are invested into this research personally, right? Energy and enthusiasm, attention to body language. That's very important. You should work on your non-verbal language also. And what and all you should really avoid, what kind of body language you should avoid to make your presentation impactful. Working on your voice and tone so that it won't be monotonous throughout the presentation. So you should know where to vary the pitch. Use humor in case if you are a person who love to use it appropriately, and be mindful of negative gestures. So again, as I've told you in the beginning, we feel that researchers or people into research are only focusing on their research work, writing and publishing. Of course, that definitely attracts a lot of readers, but then again, your work just not stops after getting published, right? Because when you are recognized as a person who's an expert in your field, it's not just publishing papers, it's also going and sharing your wisdom. It involves a lot of speaking skills and presentation skills as well. So as I told you, attending research conferences and presenting your findings effectively to the larger academic universe, right? So that way you should have these networking skills, you should develop your speaking skills, your public speaking skills. So everything comes to play, the soft skill part of it. So that's one thing that I wanted to share. So getting feedback on your work, earning more credibility as a researcher. So very much important is attending a lot of conferences, which will prepare you, as I said, for your Viva Ocean. So again, even for doctoral scholars, they have to come up with their doctoral committee meetings, their progress meetings, which is again like a you know, like a mini Viva Voce where they will be presenting their progress. They'll be questioned, right? They'll be asked about their research publication. So the progress will be tracked. So they need to make successful presentations there as well. So any scholar has to learn the art of making impactful presentation. So keeping yourself, when you attend these conferences, when you're constantly attending these research conferences, it means that you are also in touch with the latest trends and developments, and you might get some new ideas and suggestions for your research. And as I told you on the first day, my whole PhD topic, I never had any idea of life writing at all. till my MPhil. I never thought I'll do a PhD. But then attending one conference in a nearby college that actually gave me an idea as to information. First of all, I came to know about the genre only through that conference. And then I thought, fine, I might just go into this topic for my PhD. So if I haven't attended the conference, I wonder whether I would have even joined a PhD at all. So attending such conferences is definitely going to give you new ideas. It can broaden your perspective. And of course, collaborations are also a positive in a result of attending such conferences. So always, you should be into, if you are in a particular area of research, I think you will be also be having opportunities to be in WhatsApp groups, which will constantly keep you updating regarding such conferences. So try your best to attend the conferences, offline, go physically and try to meet people and try to get on to the stage and, present, because that's where actually your speaking skills are tested, the way you handle stress and anxiety when you face crowd. Because mostly I think we are out of this COVID period, so all your viva voces are going to happen, not going to happen online, it's going to be offline, right? So you have to prepare yourself much ahead, right? Now, structuring your presentation to focus on the key points, that's very important. So while you're presenting at research conferences, remember the audience. Mostly they'll be your own, people from your own academic background. They will have certain academic caliber. They'll already be aware of certain information. So see what kind of information you're actually sharing. It should be the findings that you've made, something new for them to be interested in, right? So again, focus on the core message that you're trying to communicate and prepare the structure properly, which will also be a guidance to your own work, right? When you have a proper structure, you'll also be confident. Like if you have a good introduction, body, and conclusion, you'll also know that you won't be missing out any part of the research paper that you're presenting. And avoiding complex jargon, if you have to use any technical terms, don't forget to explain. Even if your audience are from your own area of interest, you won't know. Not everyone will be aware of that particular term. So to make it more understanding, to make people feel comfortable with the content that you're dealing with, you can go ahead and explain. Create a compelling introduction and keep the presentation engaging. Again, that's something that I've already touched upon. So you can choose to start with a story or an example just to hook the interest of the audience. Sometimes people have a very different way. Some people start with a story, some people start with an analogy. So just to make an interesting start, so that when you start with a story or with a conversation or with a question or an analogy, people will be interested. They'll be like, fine, this person is trying to do something different. We can start listening to them. So once you grab the audience attention, so offer more detail on your research and ensure that you keep up the engaging process till the end, right? So introduction is the first part. It should be impactful, and only when people know that you've started on something on a high note, that your introduction is really good, they will actually start investing in your presentation. They'll dedicate the 5 minutes or so to listen to what you're saying. So yeah, the storytelling part, I think I've already told. Try to listen to different speakers. I do that. So I have my own set of speakers whom I listen, whom I follow, their body language, the way they pronounce certain words, the way they carry themselves. So I constantly keep updating and growing, because I do have few role models whom I follow. And it's very nice because every time I listen, I take the time to follow them and watch their speeches carefully. Somewhere I feel I'm also improving at it. So this kind of thing has to happen even for you. You can start listening to excellent speeches that will give you an idea as to how certain words are pronounced, to give you an idea of the accents, right? Because we need to work on the speaking skills as well. LSRW skills, very important for any researcher, especially because we are working on building our language skills, English language skills, since our research is going to happen in English language. So make your presentation concise and visually appealing. So be aware of the visual elements that you're using and what key points they communicate, and look for a professional template. So when it comes to software, I think the PPT and all, you have a lot of tools that you can actually take help of. So don't go overboard and do things, it might not look that things are done, overdone, but at the same time, keep it less, and your involvement and your way of presenting should matter a lot, even though pictures and content is there. So that's one thing that you should keep in mind. Handling questions. handling questions, even in Viva Oshi, that's the greatest, scariest part, right, for any candidate. And that itself will give a lot of stress and anxiety, right? So even in conference, if the session share, they would ask you questions, couple of questions after you finish. Even the audience might not ask, or they might end up asking, but still to prepare yourself for handling questions, because you might anticipate few questions, but not all of them, right? So whatever you can anticipate, you do that and you prepare answers accordingly. Rehearse answers for difficult questions, obtain additional information. Do not digress from your points, and use content to strengthen your main arguments. And be honest. If you know it's not possible that you know everything related to your research, there might be some questions that might come which you might not be aware of. Just be honest, humble, and say, no, I am not aware of it, but I'll go and explore about that, showing your interest, right? So practice your presentation multiple times, not just before the day, but I would say, very well in advance, because practice makes perfect. The more you practice, you'll be able to find out where you're lagging in, right? So it allows you to communicate your core findings and messages without confusing or overwhelming your audience. So standing in front of the mirror, recording your presentation, recording your voice, your pronunciation, you can do all these things, right? And sometimes you constantly keep working on it, you will understand that there are certain things that you don't want to include, or probably you feel certain words can be changed to make it more improvised. So all this can happen only when you give that space for practice. So that's what is you the more you practice, the more you're equipped, you can really handle that challenge well, and you need not be stressed about that. So checklists for an effective presentation: start preparing early, just not wait for the day before, the presentation and then do it. Otherwise it won't be you won't get enough time for practice, and that itself will cause a lot of stress, right? Don't wait for the last moment. Think about your audience, their perspective. You can even have friends who can act as your audience and give their feedback, positive or whether it's going to be constructive. So check on that, see whom you can actually take for help. So be clear about your purpose, use an effective introduction. Organization is very important. Remember, it should be clear and simple. So we are not really looking into a presentation which is very complex, or maybe using complex work doesn't make you an erudite scholar. Breaking it into simple and words and delivering the message in the most clear and simple way is what makes a person erudite and knowledgeable. Because knowledge is something that when it's transferred from one person to another, it should happen in a very smooth and clear manner. If it's going to confuse or make it all the more difficult, then that's not the way, that's not a successful presentation at all. So at the end of your presentation, people should carry at least 1 or 2 points of your presentation. It should stay in their mind. That's what an impactful presentation is about. So sound spontaneous, conversational, and enthusiastic, and so that people will be attracted towards your speech. Use visual aids whenever necessary. Balance it. So when you're preparing for your Viva Voce, know what is expected of you. So confirm the format, because each university, well, sometimes if it's going to happen in online or offline. So you will have certain timeline for that, right? Also, how much time is given for your speech and the format, everything. You should be aware of that. It's better you learn about your examiners who are coming to question you, their area of research, their publications, so that you can make some good anticipation about the positive questions that can come from them, right? And yeah, again, drawing up a list of possible questions. So anticipating the questions, and like, what is the main research question you hope to address? What is the challenge you faced? This and all is something that you can expect to be asked, right? About the research gap, your experience, your strength and inadequacies of your research, or how does your work differ from the existing research? All this is something that you can actually predict and anticipate and prepare answers accordingly. So revisit and revise your thesis thoroughly. So highlight the key concepts that help you to answer certain questions, which will strengthen the arguments that you've made, and plan towards proper planning is very important. Once you get your, you will get to know when your Viva happens. You will at least have some time, right? Probably a month before or so, or you just start preparing accordingly, and everything you need for that day, preparing for emergencies and keeping a positive attitude, giving your mind, body proper relaxation and the rest time, and just fill yourself with positive energy and increase your confidence, boost your energy level by strengthening yourself in intellectual space, right? Not just intellectual space, but also taking care of your health. That's also very important, because everything matters a lot. That that day, the success that comes to you on that particular D-Day that you've been waiting for like 4 years or 5 years, it matters on how far you perform well, how far you've taken care of yourself throughout the journey. And quick recap as we are going to end the presentation. So it's all about what you say and how you say it, right? In your presentations, remember it's both verbal and non-verbal. So practice your speech, the way you're delivering it, the way you carry yourself for it. So that is very important. So focus on your language skills, focus on your public speaking skills, your LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. Connect better with a positive impression. First few moments in your presentations are always crucial because audience will start judging. And take presentation under your control. Be confident and stay calm in case if there's questions that's going to come on your way which you're not prepared for. Take time to answer them. Collect your thoughts and don't be in a very in a hurry to just quickly answer or uh, go away from the situation. It's okay sometimes if you can't really get to into an answer, it's always okay to say no, or just to say I haven't focused on that area in my research, or I'm yet to explore that particular area. So staying calm and relaxed will let your audience know that you can't be really, even if tougher questions come your way, you'll be able to handle it. Because sometimes when the audience see you struggling with that kind of stress and anxiety, sometimes there are people who will constantly keep questioning and they'll put you into that kind of a difficult situation. But when you stay calm and composed, that becomes your strength, right? Make use of the power of pausing, right? Not continuously telling something or uh, delivering the presentation, but pause and judge and wait for the audience response and give some time for yourself also. Anticipate the challenges and work on a strategy. So everything works on a strategy. Strategy in the sense, a thorough understanding of your strength and weakness, right? So wherever you lack, if you pause, you understand, you assess yourself, you know the areas which you lack in, you can start preparing accordingly. Probably it's like a sport, right? So we watch many sports, you know that every player has their own knack of, getting it done. They have their own way of playing their match, right? They have their own strength that they really rely upon. So same way, find out your strength and whatever is your strength, work on it more. And whatever is your weakness, also try to make it into your strength. And leverage your LSRW skills is something that I've already told you. So with that, I'm just closing this session with a quote by Robin Sharma. As far as whatever I've told you, everything matters on the change that you're embracing. Any challenge also can be successfully, the challenge can be met in your life if you're able to build the kind of change. Probably the little changes that I've told you in your lifestyle that you can work on, the routine changes, the routine lifestyle changes that you make. It's not going to be easy because even bringing a slight small change in your everyday life is hard. I can understand because I've been through that. But then whatever starts to be things to be hard in the beginning starts out as hard or difficult or even goes to be messy in the middle, remember it's going to be beautiful and gorgeous at the end when you look back. Hopefully your research journey should also be like that. It's not going to be free of hardships or free of challenges. It's going to be filled with all that, but what matters is how you are learning from that, what you're unlearning from that, and the person you're becoming out of that. And that's what makes the journey beautiful. With that, I close this session, and here's my LinkedIn QR code. I'm quite active in that. I can share my ID also, where you can send connection request. I'll be happy to accept that, and you can follow me for, I do quite a lot of sessions like this. Thank you for your time and patience. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your wonderful session, ma'am. I'm audible, right, ma'am?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful session. So
Thank you
you
so
really,
much.
we are impressed your session, ma'am, because you are continuously speaking, continuously taking the session last 1.5 hour. It is very difficult to that. So thank you so much for your patience and thank you so much for your effort, ma'am.
Welcome, sir. It's always a pleasure to
Yes.
engage.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Dear participant, do you have any queries? So you may unmute yourself and share with your query with the resource person, please. We are really happy to answer that. So this is the final day. So meanwhile, the WhatsApp group is live only. So you can send post your queries after that, after the workshop is finished. So if you have any queries during your research writing and publication, so you can post your message to that WhatsApp group. Also, we can try to solve your problem as soon as possible. But now you can ask your queries. What are if you are facing any trouble last 3 days session, so you may ask your queries. So it will be better for us. I think there is no question from the participants. I understand that. Okay, so we are finally came for the conclusion. So we are really happy to hear your feedback. So what about what are you thinking about last 3 day session? Whether how much it is impacted in your research knowledge and research writing and publication and presentation skills. So please unmute yourself and share your valuable feedback. That will be given the energy to us to conducting this type of the workshop continuously. So it will be creating the great impact in the research community. We hope that. So kindly unmute yourself and share your feedbacks. 1 or 2 words.
It was very helpful and very knowledgeable workshop, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your valuable feedback, sir. Any other feedback? Please, you can use the chat box also. Yeah, Shavi sir. So no question. Everything is well explained. It is very helpful. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Dear participant, already we mentioned that during the session we will post the feedback link to the chat box and WhatsApp group. Already we post that 2 links. There are 2 different type of the feedback we are collected from that participants. So first one is the Google form. Second one is a Google review. So both feedback is more important to us. Kindly submit your both feedback as soon as possible. Then only we can process your certificate as per the scheduled time. One more information I want to share here. That link will be available after up to 12 p.m. of tomorrow. So then the link will be deactivated. It may be if you are not submitting the feedback, so it may be the certificate, it may be received is not received your it may be is not received to your registered email ID. So after that you are inquiring, it is very difficult to manage that. So we independently individually we can create that feedback. So we are creating the individual certificate we send to you. It is very difficult task. So kindly cooperate with this. So kindly submit your both feedback as soon as possible. It will be more helpful for it will be more helpful for us to complete this process as per the scheduled time. So any feedback from the participant side, we are really happy to hear that. So this is most important to us, me and Safrine ma'am and Rajesh also. So please share your valuable feedback. 1 or 2 words, please. Use the chat box also. Use the chat box, please. Okay, Manoj. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your feedback. Any feedback? Okay, fine. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, Shafrin ma'am. So we are really happy to work with you. We are continuously work several workshops, so we will work in the future also.
Yes.
Thank you
Sure,
so much
sure.
for yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and took the session last 2 day sessions. It's really informative, really impressive, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, Manoj Kumar, sir. So,
Ji, sir.
participants, so please submit your valuable feedback as soon as possible. So then only we can process certificate as per the scheduled times. I hope you understand that because we are faced this type of the issues. So once we issue the certificate, it may be that they are not submitted the feedback form. So the certificate is not prepared and sent that the participant send that particular participant. Then after that 1 week or 1 month he revert to us, so certificate is not received. After that we making individual certificate, it is very difficult task for us because we are moved another workshop, so it is very difficult to that. So don't don't make this type of the complication. So please submit your valuable feedback as soon as possible. Then only we can process everything as per the scheduled time. So one more information I want to share here. We are planned 2 workshop currently. So one is the free workshop. So how to make the research profile, how to make the healthy research profile. So that is 1 day webinar, not a workshop. So 1 day webinar, which is scheduled on March 23rd, 2026, this month only. So that is a free workshop. So if you are interested to learn how to make the research profile, how to get the most citations, so what are the different type of the benefit we can get from the research profile. So what are the different type of the research profile is there? So how we make our research profile effectively. So this is that agenda of that particular webinar. So sorry. That is a free free webinar only. So if you are interested, we will share that registration link in the WhatsApp group, so you can join with that. So apart from that, another workshop we are planned in April, so April 8 to 10. So that workshop is specially for the AI data analytics and data visualization. So if you are interested to learn data analytics and data visualization with the help of the we are welcome to that particular workshop also. So if you are interested, the both information we will share through the WhatsApp group. So you can, if you are interested, you can register that workshop also, or you can share your colleagues. So it may be someone will be benefited from that particular workshops and webinar. So thank you so much for giving this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Safrine ma'am.